The FIFA Women's World Cup only ended less than a week ago, but the joy and success of it has been overshadowed by controversy and threats of court cases. The governors of world football today intervened into the Spanish football scandal to suspend Spanish football's president, Luis Rubiales, for 90 days after World Cup winner Jenni Hermoso said the kiss from the president was not consensual. It's been a busy and controversial week for the Spanish national team, both on and off the field. It was only Sunday when Spain's women's team beat the Lionesses in their first World Cup final. But that historic moment quickly turned to controversy when the Spanish players received their medals. Jenni Hermoso was grabbed and kissed on the lips by Spanish Football Association President Luis Rubiales. Hermoso initially said she didn't like it, but a statement from the FA said on her behalf that they were close and she had no problem with it. The situation developed through the week, and after mounting pressure, the Spanish Football Association called a General Assembly where the president was expected to resign. Instead, he announced he would not be stepping down. Just hours later, the Spanish government began legal proceedings seeking to suspend Rubiales. Last night, Hermoso revealed she didn't consent to the kiss and condemned the president. This morning, the Spanish FA have said they plan to take Hermoso to court over her comments about Rubiales. Rubiales, Palmeros, estáis fuera de juego. The backlash to the incident has come from women protesting in Spain.
We're here because of feminism, because of sisterhood, and because it's unacceptable that this is happening. It's not possible that this is the kind of football to represent Spain. They're making a fool of us around the world because of this. That a macho and mafia person is representing us. We won't tolerate it. That's why we're here.
But also international outrage, with the Lionesses issuing a statement condemning the actions of the president. The behaviour of those who think they are invincible must not be tolerated, and people shouldn't take any convincing to take action against any form of harassment.
We have to just clean a lot of things inside the federation, and I'm glad that now has been something that everybody has been able to see, that it has been in front of cameras, because now they can realize that it's not just the players who they just told 1 year ago that they were childish, that they were just capricious. No, it's everybody just saying, you can do that, you can be like that. For the little I know about him, he's a very narcissistic person. And when you are a narcissistic person, you can be aware of what are you doing bad and what you have to change. So I'm not expecting him to just give up on being on charge.
In the last hour, 11 members of the Spanish coaching team have resigned, despite Rubiales insisting he will fight on. Support from the federation remains strong, but what was meant to be one of Spanish football's biggest achievements is quickly spiralling into a global scandal.
Well, earlier I spoke to football journalist Semra Hunter, who's based in Barcelona. I began by asking her about an extraordinary 24 hours in Spanish football.
People in Spain feel so embarrassed by what we saw yesterday from Luis Rubiales, and so many people are calling him deluded in the way he was speaking to the assembly, and how arrogant and how entitled he was in his defiance in refusing to step down, and actually quite the opposite, shouting across the room to everyone that he was going to stay in his position. But obviously FIFA now stepping in a short while ago has kind of eased the tension a little bit. So a lot of people who have been fighting for justice for Jenni Hermoso are going to say, finally, someone has taken serious action here. And I imagine that the statement that came out from the federation earlier this morning, where they said, according to them, that Luis Rubiales wasn't lying and actually called Jenni Hermoso a liar herself and tried to put the blame on her, I think FIFA probably felt as though they had to step in, and they had to do so right now.
What I do wonder is why the Spanish FA are backing Rubiales so much. What's the reasoning behind that? They must think that they're backing the right person, that, you know, what happened was consensual.
Well, like in many organizations, there's a bit of politics involved, isn't there? I'm sure each one has their own individual reason for why they do support him. I think they do get a sense that the walls are starting to close in on them, however, and they have to be very careful now how they proceed with this, because I think they also understand that if he goes, they all go.
Are there also some parts of Spanish society that do agree with him and say that this is way blown out of proportion and they back him?
You look at social media, yes, of course, you can see people who are saying, this really is nothing, what's the big deal? But I think they don't understand that this is not just about the kiss itself. It's really about something much bigger, much wider, much deeper. It's a perfect example, rather, of the systemic abuse that these women have been claiming to have been on the receiving end of for a very, very long time. I was watching a documentary earlier this morning that came out a couple of years ago where several very key members of the Spanish national team were openly speaking about this abuse that they received when they were part of the national team. They talked about how they were humiliated, how they were controlled, how they were manipulated. They felt afraid to go to the national team. They were treated as little girls. They've been saying this for a very long time, but so many people have just turned a blind eye. They've done nothing about it, despite the fact that they have made official complaints along the way. But it also speaks to the wider issue of the problem with sexism and misogyny and machismo that is in existence in Spanish society and unfortunately is normalized by quite a lot of people, actually.
There have been some commentators that have said, well, that's how Spanish people show emotion and euphoria.
Honestly, when I see that, it makes me upset because that's just not true. It's not true. Yes, we are warm, we are affectionate, we'll give each other hugs, we'll greet each other by giving each other 2 kisses on the cheek, but we never, ever cross a line. We never kiss somebody on the lips. I mean, that is seen as so bizarre and strange for people in Spain. And I think even they take a little bit of offense to people internationally saying, oh, that's just how the Spanish do it. That's really not entirely true in this case. There very much is a firm line drawn in the sand that can't be crossed.
Sana Hunter, thank you very much for your time there in Barcelona. Thank you.